Welcome to the Lit Chicks podcast. We are Mary Ellen Humphrey,
Hello.
Shannon Reber, and I'm Susan Landrigan. We're coming to you from the Innovation Studio at Lakeshore Center for the Arts in Westfield, New York. And today we're going to talk about Genres Bookstore, Shannon's baby.
Okay, so the history of this little venture is my friend, she suggested that I do a pop-up bookshop. And so I was looking for space to do this, and I was having a really hard time. And she basically sent me a Facebook message and asked me to call her, and offered me the space at the Y. And so, it was kind of interesting because a couple years ago I'd read that the Y, the building that it's in, was Hannah Patterson's house. And Hannah Patterson had the very first library in Westfield in her house. And
Cool. Nice.
She's the one, she donated money to the town when she died. I think it was a trust for the town to have the library. So it didn't get done until, I believe, the 60s? I believe it was done. No, I'm wrong about that. I don't remember. But I am now in the original library in Westfield, and it was everything just clicked into place. It was perfect. And so now I'm carrying on Hannah Patterson's legacy and selling books and cookies today.
So how did you go from a pop-up to a bookstore?
Well, because the room that they offered to me wasn't being used, and they liked having it filled, and they asked me to stay. I had only planned to be open from October to December, and that was my plan. And Amanda from the Y asked me if I would stay, and I went, okay, sure. So actually, my friend Ryan, who opened it with me, he got a new job, and I thought I was going to be all by myself, and then I found Jerry, who was my most loyal customer, and I sent her a Facebook message and asked her if she would be interested, and she said yes, and now the store is more organized than it's ever been before, and life is good.
And tell us what kind, because you're a unique bookstore, right? So
Yeah.
What makes you unique?
Okay, so we do sell used books. People like to call us a used bookshop, but we're not. We do sell used books, but we mostly sell local author books. And I met these two amazing local authors. One writes children's books, and one writes books in like pretty much every genre. And
much.
I met these ladies, and we started talking about doing, a writer's group. And then things just sort of evolved from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I moved to Westfield about just after the bookshop opened.
I think, yeah.
I moved in November of
Okay,
that
yes,
year.
yep.
And it was COVID. Everything was closed.
Everything, yes.
But the bookshop was open. So I was in there
You were.
frequently.
You were my second most loyal
Considering
customer.
you're a block from my house.
Exactly.
You can only go to the grocery store so many times.
Exactly. I know that feeling. But something that I thought was pretty wonderful was this other author that I know. She donated bookshelves to the shop, and so we went from having books on tables to these old library shelves that are spectacular, and I love them. And I need to hug you. Hug this author after the podcast. Don't know who it is.
Well, I'm reminded of one of my favorite sayings,
'Kay.
which is luck, which that was a lucky find for
Yeah.
these things. It's the intersection of effort and opportunity.
That's
So
perfect.
you stepped out to do
Right.
something,
Right.
and all these things opened up that
Mm-hmm.
brought it to fruition.
Fruition.
Yeah,
Wow.
there you
That's
go.
a good word, too.
It is. Gosh, I almost couldn't get it out. So you did go from and I was in Ripley at the time when I
Yeah.
first moved here, similar to you, to be close to my grandkids. And and during COVID, I was building a house, and boy, talk about being isolated. It was
Yes.
something else. However,
And you were way out in the country too.
I was.
So yeah,
I
wow.
met you first
Yes.
before I met the arts folks here at the Arts Center.
Yes.
And I was drawn here, and I think that's a feeling that a lot of people express, that
Yeah.
feeling of being drawn to this wonderful village of Westfield,
Mhm.
New York.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
And your store certainly adds to that quaintness.
I-
You can walk into this what's one room, but it's got a ton of stuff in it. And how many local authors do you have books in there?
I have around 30 local authors.
Amazing.
And we take up the first thing you see is local authors when you walk in, and it's my favorite thing. I have every genre. I do not think there is a single genre we have nothing in. So,
Well, I think that's really neat that tourists and people visiting here can walk in and find local authors.
exactly. I
And
love
some wonderful
that.
books too, by the way. 'Cause
Oh,
we've got
heck yeah.
children's books. We've got yours, all kinds of.
I
books.
also enjoy the used books that
Yes,
are there.
yes.
Especially when I'm traveling. I don't want to
Exactly.
bring a good book that I'm afraid to lose or
Exactly.
fall in the water or when I'm traveling. I
When
just
you're
want,
exactly.
if I pay $1, $3 for a book, I can leave it behind if I'm done with it.
And somebody
not-
else gets a blessing.
Yes, I do that often. Yes.
I love that. You're passing along the literature. It's very nice.
Well, you never know what you're going to find.
Exactly.
I found this wonderful book about the Beatles. This,
Oh,
from
right.
the 50s,
I
or not
remember.
50s to 70s. That was a magazine article, but it was all full of their information. And then I found another one that had information about President Kennedy. I mean, you
Oh,
probably don't
right,
even
I
know. I'm
remember.
looking at all these things, and I think, oh, I'm going to take that home. And even if I just look at it for a little while, and then
Right.
I can donate it back again.
Exactly.
I have donated many books back
You have, yes.
after I've read them.
I do find that amusing, actually.
I read it. I don't feel a need to keep it, so I donated it back.
Well, actually, that is something that I love about the shop too. Is all of our used books are via donation. So it's there's such a variety just because there's so many different things that people like.
Mhm.
Not there is you'll have a donation that'll have something like poetry and thrillers and just random things. I've had a few dictionaries donated, which people don't really buy dictionaries anymore, so I donated them to the Lakeshore Center for the Arts Writers Group, and so now
There
it's
you
on the
go.
shelf downstairs, right below us, in fact. And I love how everything like moves around. It's
Don't underestimate the value of an old dictionary.
I know.
I have some really big old dictionaries, 100 years old, that I love to look through because the words are different. Not that
It's-
they're all different.
yeah.
Words that we don't use
Yes,
anymore.
and
Yeah.
Exactly.
think about all the words in the English language, and we keep adding every year.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, yeah, I kind of like those kind of books.
I do too. I very much do. But the thing that I always tell people is with the big old books. I mean, it's great. You can have it in front of you. It's sitting on your lap. But if someone breaks into your house, you can also use it as a weapon. You can beat them
Yeah.
over the head with a dictionary.
Or if you have to reach something high, you can step on it.
Yes.
I don't have any books that big.
I do.
Actually, quite a few years back, my husband went to an estate sale, and he found this old Bible. And this Bible is like 8 inches thick,
Wow.
and it's like this gorgeous old thing. I don't think we've ever opened it because we're too scared of ruining it. But it is the most beautiful book I have ever seen in my entire life. And I think it was a kind that was like at the front of a Catholic church. You know how they do that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's this gorgeous piece, and it's art. I don't consider it a book. I consider it art. And I absolutely love that. And we've had maybe like 1 or 2 books like that donated to us, and it's
Wow.
wonderful.
Well, I think we should mention, Shannon, because part of your impetus to do all this is you are a writer yourself, and you're
Yeah.
promoting your books as well as other local authors.
I
which is-
try, yeah.
Remember the Shameless Hussies?
Shameless Hussies,
The-
yes. I try not to be
Brazen
too...
Hussies.
Brazen,
There we go.
That's it, that's
Shamelessly
better.
promote
Yes.
ourselves. But you have a recent one coming out, right? And
I
we're-
do, yeah.
we wanna mention your
I
party.
will get the last book. No, I'm sorry, the last books come next week. But the third book in the series, I'll get my first shipment of them tomorrow, which
Wow.
I'm so excited. But I will be selling those at my book launch, which will be May 1st. It's a Wednesday. It's at 6 o'clock, and it's here at Lakeshore Center for the Arts. For some reason, I keep trying to call it Lakeshore Savings Bank. And that's
It's not.
it. It's not it.
And everyone is welcome.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
It's free.
It's
There'll
free.
be food.
And books.
And
books.
books. And books. That's not free. The books I can't give away. But, I mean, the rest is free.
Some people would like to know, how did you start writing?
Me?
What was your inspiration to write?
It was therapy. Basically, I was a bad kid. I was a liar, and I was having a hard time with stopping lying. So I started writing my lies instead of speaking them, and everything just sort of fell into place for me. So
It's probably a hard thing to admit.
yeah, I've gotten used to it, but yeah, it was. I was a terrible child, and I told terrible stories, and then I realized
You had an imagination.
I did.
A good imagination.
Oh, a bad imagination. It was very bad.
Did people realize that you were lying?
Sometimes when I first started, they believed me, and then after I kept going with it, then they doubted, and then no one believed anything
Like
I
the
said.
dragon ate my lunch?
Exactly. But he did. He did. He really did. He ate my homework too, though. He was a really big jerk.
But dragons are a thing, right?
I have one book that has dragons. Yeah, but mine. I like mythology, so I like to weave my stories around various mythologies, and this one, the Through the Mist series, is Irish mythology. So Manan MacLear, the god of the sea, Fand, the queen of the fairies. I do have 2 dragons, and it's a lot of fun, and I love mythologies. So they're stories that have been around for hundreds of years, and I'm keeping them going. And I like
In your
this.
own way.
In my own way. I am changing them a bit, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of the gods, the legend states they died. But I just say that's part of the legend.
Very good. And the name of your announcing book is
Through the Mist.
Through the Mist.
Through the Mist, indeed.
Well, that's very interesting, Shannon.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And we're coming to the end of our podcast, so it's time for the word of the day.
Surprise us again.
The word of the day today is shambles. It's a place of great disorder or confusion. And I can put that in a sentence. My grandkids were here for the Easter break, and when they left, my house was in shambles. It happens every time, but it's okay.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Well, I could say I bought this piece of furniture thinking, oh, wouldn't that look nice? But I didn't know was I have to put it together.
Oh.
And it's very complicated. I would guess there's 1,000 pieces between all the
Whoa.
things.
Oh.
So my living room floor is in a shambles.
Hey.
Oh, I want to thank you for spending time with us today. We value your feedback, and we'll see you next week
Yes.
or 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yes,
We-
you are
Next
out of
week. Part
town.
of us will.
I won't be here next week, so
So it'll just be me and Mary Ellen, the lady who might, maybe, have donated bookshelves to Genres Bookshop. Possibly.
It was a good cause.
Thank you.
bye.
Happy writing.